Even I streamed yesterday, but I have no idea what I did yesterday. So I just get restored. Changes from yesterday. I thought I'll start again. Makes sense. I think I wasn't paying attention at all. Totally distracted. Time to remedy it.
Live code editing is good right now, but I want to make it way better. I want to make it so much better that it's going to be like you would not.
I remember I was way too excited by the feature, like what he's building. I was thinking all sorts of things you could do with it. Totally forgot to pay attention to how.
Dream of using something else after you saw this, if that makes sense. But in order to demo why this is going to be cool, I just need a little bit of something that uses some user input or something so that we can kind of see what happens when you actually want to tune something in a game. So I'm going to go into here to our sort of stand-in game code that we did that's just sitting here waiting for us to start writing a game in it. And what I'm going to do is inside, you remember we have our game state thing where we store some state. I'm just going to add like a very simple player X, player Y, just so we have like a location where we're pretending the player is, right? And then I'm just going to flat out say, all right, when we come in here and initialize that, I'm going to pretend the player is somewhere. I don't know where. He's at 100, 100, let's say, right? Just something real basic like that. The player starts out at some random location on the screen. Again, we're not thinking this through. It doesn't matter. This is just a simple example. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do inside of our code for the keyboard handling or the non-analog handling, basically. I'm just going to go ahead. Well, you know what? I'll just use that stick average X and the stick average Y. So I'm just going to go ahead and for any controller, no matter what it is, I'm just going to go ahead and take the player X and the player Y, and I'm just going to add to them whatever these stick values are. Like it just, again, I don't even care what's going on here. I'm just gonna do that straight away. And then when we do render weird gradient, I'm also going to have a ridiculous function called render player. This is like player in real big quotes here, which will basically just be, excuse me, something that draws anything, whatever we can think of, to the player location. Now, of course, we already have some code in here, and we'll be writing our own rendering code very soon, so we won't have to be so slapdash and sloppy about this. But again, so, you know, one thing at a time, we got to go in order. So basically, we have this Win32 debug draw vertical thing, right? Which basically just kind of goes through here and does this does this nonsense, right? Basically, what it does is it'll draw one vertical line, and we were using it to draw these hash marks, right? So what I'll do is I'll just do something which basically, basically does that. I'll just do something which let's see here. Okay. There we go. Something that basically just loops through the X and Y. In fact, you know what? Now that I think about it, I don't know if this would be easier. Well, nah, probably not. So basically, I'll just do something that loops over some X's, right? It'll start, let's say, at the player X. It'll go to the player X plus 10 or something like this, and it'll add to X. So just the most basic thing you could possibly imagine. And this thing will basically be top will be player Y, and bottom will be player Y plus 10. So just making a simple 10 by 10 rectangle, and I'm going to go ahead and fill that stuff in. Now this will full-on crash if the player moves outside the window. So this is the like absolute worst code you could possibly imagine. Okay, this is never code we would even dream of putting in the app. I'm literally just slapping in there because we haven't written a render yet, and I just need to put something on the screen. So I need to basically pass in a player X and a player Y here.
Let me do that much first. So otherwise, I'll just get lost. It's not gonna be easy. Under box. Rectangle. I think can I just do mm, yep, that makes sense. Leave it as this. Either. Let's make it white. Oh, yeah, what about this? Maybe I missed it. For the window height, and then this should be yeah, if x greater than just forgot how to draw a rectangle. Plus 10. Do that, and then this would just be white. And if y I think equal to is fine. Okay. Maybe I should initialize it. Put it somewhere in the middle. I forgot I gotta build the library. I know I should build on its own. Let me change that red offset back blue. A lot easier to see. Oh great. It's not attached to the window manager. Do I see a white box? No. Oh, because I don't call it anywhere. I see it. I do see it. Where's the rest of it? Why is there so many? Weird. Definitely need to fix my renderer. It's quite bad. Bottom greater than top is less than 0, top is 0. Right. Right, okay. Set it to the bounds. What's the actual print? Oh, but that's for drawing the line. I'm thinking, well, what if I just updated the off-screen buffer? Yeah, instead of... I think it needs to be an array. Or like a slice of a slice. Excuse me. I'll have to say I'm getting a bit sidetracked. I'm gonna leave this at a slice, and then if it's within the bound of the rectangle, it should all be white. No, I think all it's printing is got the top and the bottom. I think it's missing the X and the Y. Hang on. Why didn't I just check? Hey, Zoxo. I mean, okay. You have a difficult name. Maybe it's print a line for now. The renderer needs fixing anyways. But okay, we'll just call that. Why does it print so many? Just want one. X is greater than x is less than equal to x plus 10. Right. Equal to player y, and then less than player y plus 10. Not now. I think I know why, because my I think I have a simpler way to test it. I'll just save the movements of inputs of the window itself. Okay, let's continue.
Have something going. So I don't know if this will work. I just kind of slapped it in there, but there is my player. See it right there. And I do not actually know if I can move him. Okay, I can. So I have my gamepad here, and you can see that I can move my player around. Of course, it's a little wonky because I've got the stick mapped wrong. let's go ahead and I didn't think about that. The Y direction of the stick, up is actually up is positive and down is negative, so we're gonna have to go ahead and reverse that there. But yeah. So I've got this little guy and I'm moving him around, right? So basically, just imagine that this, and I should probably turn off the gradient motion, and for God's sake, turn off the sine wave. So maybe let's just say
Yeah.
that game output sound from now on. Let's go ahead and pretend that we're just quiet. We just don't need all this sound happening. So let's go ahead and basically do this here. There we go. So instead of computing that sine value, let's just do quiet, because that's going to get real annoying. All right. So anyway, here's our little guy who's moving around. Why did that? That was a little odd. I feel like that's a little odd. There's a bit of a frame rate. Did I do something stupid there? I don't know if I did. You can.
No, I think this is perfect. So the next one is platform layer cleanup. And I think I need to clean up my platform layer too. And then I can fix the render at the same time.
You can see, I don't know
That
if you could
works.
see that, but basically I was getting a weird kind of frame rate hitch happening there. I don't actually know why it is. I think that it's weird because our game still is running at 33 milliseconds per frame. All right, so we'll have to take a look at that a little bit later. Although that may again be, sometimes OBS creates a lot of problems for frame rate stuff, so it's hard for me to always know whether it's something we need to look at or not. But basically all I did is, right, I just made a little rectangle here that I can move around the screen. That's it. And so what I'd like to do is I'd like to be able to, I just needed something where I could show sort of what a game would normally be doing, so I can show what's difficult about tuning code. So let's say, right, that what I want to do, now that I've got this, is I want to implement a way that this dude can jump or something like that, right? I want to have it so that when you push the button, the dude jumps. And so I'm going to go ahead and just implement something simple there, like if action down, right, we've got this action down thing happening. So if action ended down, then we're also going to pretend that the player, you know, jumped here. We're going to discontinuously move him up the screen by 10 pixels or whatever for right now, right? So I've got my guy, I'm moving around. I hit the button, and you can see when the button goes down, right, he jumps, right? And he doesn't come back down or anything, right? I'm just showing you kind of what the deal is. So that's it, right? Well, let's suppose now that we want to work on our code for the jump. So you can tell that the jump is ridiculous. It's totally stupid. In fact, all the player movement code is awful. So what I would have to do if I was doing this live, right? If I was tuning this code, even with our live code editing, here's the process that has to go through it. All right, well, what happens with the jump? Well, I push the jump button, and he doesn't come back down. So I guess I need to add...
There's actually something I need to fix before. I think I don't handle key down. No, key release. Yeah. I think instead of this, I just make key equals null. Yeah, I think that's better. I can save both. It just stops moving. Why does it not stop? All right, because I need to handle. If it's null, state dot tone hertz. I mean, the sound is muted for now, so it don't matter. Becomes 0 and this becomes 0. That's weird. What is the starting width offset? Yeah, it is 0. Yeah, I can print it as a string. No, I can't. Oh, keyboard. Input. Dot key released. Did you go to Christ University as well? Why does it not print? Okay, I think the key release doesn't get triggered. Maybe it's a different event. Okay, yeah. I think no. Yeah, I was in the engineering branch. BBA was a waste of time. Yeah, that one. Yeah, it was middle of nowhere. It was actually kind of nice. The release. Why was it a waste of time for you? I mean, it was a waste of time for me too, even though I, even though I studied computer science. Oh, I have to set the key release mask. Makes sense. Key release mask. That makes sense. You should work now. That's not what I wanted. I think it needs to do nothing. Should be fine. Okay. Yeah, that's what I wanted. Okay, perfect. Guess accounting slash finance. Finance wasn't for me, just really boring to mug up material. I mean, to be fair, even when we studied computer science, they made us like, it was, I mean, the way they taught it was pretty bad. They just made us like, it was a lot of theory. We barely used the computer for like 4 years, except once a week or twice a week. But to be honest, like I was a bad student too, so I think it went both ways. So, do you do programming now, Jacob? Or what do you do? I mean, you must be into. You were looking up LSPs, so my guess is yes. Kiddly, I don't need this anymore. Yeah, I mean, I think it got better after the years I finished. Okay, nice. Yeah. I mean, after university, it was so bad that I decided like not to do programming. So for 6, 7 years after university or college, I didn't do any programming. And then I learned programming again after. It took me less time. I think it took me like a year to from starting to learn to find a job. Okay, I think jump in. I think we can go ahead.
Add like a timer or something in here or something like this, right? So I'm going to have a timer in the game state. I don't know, something that's like maybe a velocity, right? So I've got a player velocity in Y or something like this. And I'm going to set that to something, and then I'm going to change it over time. Or maybe I just have a timer. So
I think same things happening with people in school that hate math. You get terrible teachers and they just turn you off. Yeah. I had a really good maths teacher in school, which I was surprised. I failed every subject except math. um, she got us like really interested in math, and I remember when I used to be bored at home, I used to do calculus or like trigonometry, maybe more calculus. Trigonometry was a lot harder. But yeah, I would just do calculus problems because she made it like so interesting. Yeah, it makes a huge difference if the teacher's good. So, but I don't remember any of it because that was the last year of school. Then never did calculus again. I mean, I don't know if AI make good teachers, to be honest. Synctropy. I think we just need good teachers. Because I think I tried to like think back why she was good, a math teacher. And to be honest, I think it was because she was scary. She's like, I mean, plus also like she knew how to teach. She made us do like a lot of math, like a lot of problems. She would show us how to do like most basic ones, and then it was just practice after. Don't
like I just have
understand
a
this
T jump timer. I don't know, something like
velocity
that.
thing.
So then I come in here and I go, all right, the T jump. Well, let's suppose now that we want to work on our code for the jump. So you can tell that the jump is ridiculous. It's totally stupid. In fact, all the player movement code is awful. So what I would have to do if I was doing this live, right? If I was tuning this code, even with our live code editing, here's the process that has to go through it. All right, well, what happens with the jump? Well, I push the jump button and he doesn't come back down. So I guess I need to add like a timer or something in here or something like this, right? So I'm going to have a timer in the game state. I don't know, something that's like maybe a velocity, right? So I've got a player velocity in Y or something like this. And I'm going to set that to something, and then I'm going to change it over time. Or maybe I just have a timer. So like I just have a T-jump timer. I don't know, something like that. So then I come in here and I go, all right, the T-jump timer is going to be, I don't know, the game state when he jumps. The T-jump timer is going to be equal to 1 second. And then basically, like, I don't know, we add the sign of the T-jump timer, kind of a thing like this. I don't know what's going on. And I do that, and then every time we go through the frame, I subtract something from the T-jump timer. I don't know, something like this. I don't even know if we're passing the frames per second in here or anything like that, but you get the idea. Like, I'm gonna have to do a bunch of coding in here. Let's see here. I've got to actually add that inside there. So I'm gonna have to do a bunch of weird coding in here to make this jump code actually do something. So when I'm actually doing it, I have to then make those changes, come back in here, push the button. Okay, like that didn't do anything, right? And of course, it makes sense it didn't do anything because I'm not multiplying this by anything. So I have to come back out here. And I guess since we're doing the live coding, I could leave it running, right? I can leave this guy running, and that's fine. But when I come back in here, I have to do like, okay, I edit it, right? Recompile, and now the code is live or whatever. But although we have a
Went out of bounds.
I may have to actually make this guy, I may have to actually prevent this guy from running out of bounds. Like I said, this guy will run out of bounds whenever the player actually gets to the bottom of the screen. So I may have to do an actual attempt here at preventing this guy from actually running out of bounds. So let's just do something really simple, which is if the pixel pointer is in bounds, it will do it. Again, this is absolutely horrid code. I apologize for being so horrid on the stream, but I just want to, I'm literally only doing this to show kind of why we want the thing that I'm going to show you how to build. Because if we had already written the game, then it would be very easy to show, or had some part of a game running, it would be very easy to show why the thing that I want to do is interesting, but without having any of that, it's much easier. All right, sorry, it's much harder. So I need something, if that makes sense. All right, so basically we have the buffer memory here. I'm just going to add the full size of the buffer in there. So the bytes per pixel times the width plus the pitch times the height. So I'm just going to add in basically the entire size of the buffer. Again, do not worry about this code at all. I will be explaining renderers in detail when we get there, and I just don't want to belabor the point at the moment because it doesn't matter. All right. So anyway, here we go. You can now see that my jump code, awesome as it is, isn't even waiting for the timer to be set, right? Because it's just always working. And basically what I had to do is make it so that when this
that's Flappy Bird.
thing goes out of bounds, we don't crash. Because when it would go, it would be writing out of memory when we go here, right? So all right, so I'm tuning this. So I do this thing, and I'm like, oh right, the timer is totally messed up. It's not right at all because it keeps going down. So I flip back here or whatever. I go, all right, so we got to do this game T-jump thing, but that should only be happening basically if T-jump is greater, is greater than some threshold value. Like, so basically what I want to do here is say if game state T-jump is greater than 0, then we will do, this piece of code or whatever. Otherwise, we won't. So, we'll do that. We'll do something like this. Right, there we go. And there. So I do that. Okay, I got an error there. Got to convert this to an int. Done. So I come back here, and now at least, it's a little bit better, but I got to pick up the controller again. I got to get back to somewhere I want to test. I got to push the button. Oh, and the jump goes downwards, right? Not at all what I wanted. Sign goes downwards. Okay, all right. So stop, flip back here. I got to go ahead and say, all right, this should be going the other direction. I run it again, come back here, pick the controller back up, take my hand off the keyboard, do it, right? So you can see what I'm basically trying to say here. There's this whole process where I have to keep going like this is a problem because I got to pick up the controller, test the thing I want, go back to the code, change the code, come back here. And you can imagine if there was more state, like if there was an enemy, what if I killed the enemy? Well, now the enemy's gone. And so that firing the missile, and what if the missile I only had one missile left? Do I add a cheat key to add more missiles? There's all these kind of annoyances in there that make it not as smooth as I would want it to be, right? So what I would like to do instead is make it so that this can basically be like the way musicians edit stuff, right? I basically want to create something that's sort of like a loop editor where I can just go ahead and say, okay, I'm going to record something being done. And then I want you to just keep doing that thing over and over again exactly the way I did it as I tune the code for it. Does that make sense? Um, so, I want to make something that's essentially like a loop editor but for code. So how do I do that? Well, it turns out, like I said, if you architect everything properly, this ends up being actually extremely easy. Because think about how we have set up our game. If we don't care about sound for now, because we have a separate way that sound comes in, but if all we're trying to tune is stuff besides the literal sound output code, we only have one function that's called, right? It's called update and render. We know it takes the memory that's whatever the state of the game is. We know it takes whatever the input is on this frame, and then it just takes wherever we want it to draw to, right? Whatever we want it to draw. That's it. So if we wanted to, we could certainly start doing something relatively straightforward here by saying, all right, what if we just record whatever this new input thing is? We just remember whatever that is, right? And then we feed it back. Instead of actually producing the input, before we pass the thing here, we just actually see whatever the previous input thing was, right? We just record it and go. Seems pretty straightforward, right? So if we want to, we could basically introduce something, right, that captures this input. Because we know it's just a flat struct. We made it very simple, right? It's really trivial to capture. It's just one of these, right? So you could imagine having something that was like, Win32 recorded input, right? You could imagine us constructing something that looked like this, right? There's an input stream, right? Something like this. And there's an input count, right? And it would basically say, all right, as we go, we just remember all of the inputs that we had, we stuff them in here, and then later when we want to play it back, we just go ahead and grab them out of here progressively. Right? Very, very, very simple. There's really nothing weird going on about that at all. Furthermore, if we wanted to...
So, excuse me, if I understand that correctly, it should be... input type, this is my input, so this would be... inputs. A slice, or it could be... I mean, I could make an array. Might be easier. I'll just save. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
We already know how to do file I/O. So if we want, we actually don't even really need to do, excuse me, we don't even really need to store it in memory, right? We could just log it out to a drive and save it that way so that it was permanent, right? We could just read and write from a file. So basically, there really wouldn't be very much to at least that part, right? So let's think about how we might implement this. All I really need to do is sort of know whether I'm recording something, right? So maybe I'll have a variable here, and I might want to record multiple of these or something. So maybe I could just introduce a variable here called like recording index or something, and recording index will be equal to 0, right? So when we're running, we also have a recording index, and that recording index is equal to 0. And similarly, if we were playing something back, maybe I'll have a playing index, like an input recording index and an input playing index, right? And basically, if these are equal to 0, then we are not playing or recording. But if they're equal to something else, then we'll think of it as like a slot, basically, that things are in. Make some sense? It seems pretty straightforward, right? I don't think there's anything particularly odd about that. So if we want to now, basically what I can do is I can sort of Well, I guess there is one. We do have a bit of a thing that's a little annoying here, which is that we kind of have our keyboard processing up here, and we'd like to start using that keyboard processing to affect some stuff. So it would kind of be nice if we had these things sort of starting to be centralized in something. So maybe, I'd like to do something like this, which is Win32 state or something like this, where I have something like that, right? And
I'm messing around with Racket/Lisp and Go currently. I was looking at turning LSPs off because my NVim Go plus extension broke and I couldn't remember a lot of standard lib functions. Kept hitting Control plus space for the IntelliSense/autocomplete. Okay. But I mean, in your Vim you could just remove the extension that, what's it called, draws pop-ups, something like that. I don't know what it's called. I didn't delete the LSP, I just removed the autocomplete. I still use the LSP. I think it's quite useful. For instance, like if I want to like look things up, it's much easier.
and that has some of these sort of globally sorts of things in it. So I have Win32 state, and that's here. And so I'm just going to go ahead and wrap those in a struct. So
yeah, definitely. And I think there's GD, and then the rename is useful too.
So that I can pass.
Okay, hang on, I've got to go back a bit.
Basically what I can do is I can sort of, well, I guess there is one. We do have a bit of a thing that's a little annoying here, which is that we kind of have our keyboard processing up here, and we'd like to start using that keyboard processing to affect some stuff. So it would kind of be nice if we had these things sort of starting to be centralized in something. So maybe, I'd like to do something like this, which is Win32 state or something like this, where I have something like that, right? And that has some of these sort of globally sorts of things in it. So I have Win32 state, and that's here. And so I'm just going to go ahead and wrap those in a struct so that I can pass them around. Because basically what I want to do is I basically want to, excuse me, basically, I say basically a lot. What I want to do is I want to make it so that we can record things by just hitting a simple key. So basically, I look to see if we have hit the L key, let's say, for loop, right? And what we'll do is we'll take a look if the shift key was down. I don't know if, or what was the easiest thing to do? There was the alt key was down. So we'll go ahead and, well, actually, we don't even need that. I don't think we need that at all. If you press the L key, that'll go into loop mode, let's say. And then if you push one of the number keys, that will indicate what slot you want to record in. So we'll basically say we'll push L and then 1. We'll like start recording input to slot 1. And then you push L again, and it stops the recording at that point, right? So L1 starts recording, L stops it, and then from then on, if you hit 1, it'll start replaying that slot, right? So let's go ahead and do it that way. For now, I guess what I can do is just hard code it so we don't have to do the 1, 2, 3 processing, because I can show you how to do that in a second. But so let's just say that if you hit the L key, then the Win32 state, the input recording index, right, becomes 1. If it already equaled that, so if it equals 1 already, or if it equals 0, it's that. Otherwise, we stop, right? Otherwise, we'll set it back to 0. So basically, we're just making a toggle here. We hit L, we start recording, we hit L again, we stop recording, and since we're testing here, we'll switch right to playing back as well. Make sense? All right. Pretty straightforward, I think. Yep. Not much to do there. All right. So basically, I've got these playing indexes and that sort of stuff. Move those into here. And so basically, we just replace those with our own struct there. And we can start putting other stuff in there as well. So this will kind of be a nice holder for things that we want to be accessed outside. So I go ahead and do that. And now all I really need is I need to look at those when we're about to use that input, right? So right here, we have new input. And what I want to do is I just want to say, well, if the Win32 state, right, has a input recording index, right? If it's on, if recording is on, then I want to call something like win32 record input, like this, and I want to record this input that just came in. And if the win32 state is playing back something, right? Then what I want to do is play back the input. And so I'm going to overwrite whatever new input was with whatever the input is, whatever I'm basically going to get, excuse me, whatever that thing reads from the stream of previous inputs, it's going to put it in there. Very, very straightforward, right? So we've got these two functions. Really, really simple. Again, nothing fancy happening here. Really all we have to do is implement these. Very straightforward. So I've got my win32 state. I'll have to go change that to a pointer down there, won't I? And then I've got my game input. That's coming in here. So we've got those two things. That's our record input. Then I've got another one here that's going to play with the input back. Win32 state. This. And game input, new input. So there we go. And all I need to do is I just need to either write in the record function, I just need to write it to a file. In the playback input, I just need to read it from a file, right? That's it. So assuming that I have a file handle, which I could totally do, right? I'll have a file handle here, which is recording handle. And I'll have a file handle here, oops, which is playback handle. And we'll have to actually open these files with Win32 at some point. But I've got those, and so I'll go, all right, I've got this recording handle, so basically all I need to do is just write this out. And we already saw how to do this. Remember, we have our write file. In fact, we already wrote a thing that writes an entire file. It was just this, right?
Wait, hang on. I already forgot a lot of the stuff. I think I should do a bit of it, because I've... Wait, where's my... This file needs refactor later. Okay, record input. I already don't remember. What was this? Oh, did I cut? Coding index U32. Let's call it handle. I could just keep the file. Maybe have a net here. What was this called? I'll call it X11 state. It's a pointer, turns nothing. fs dot working directory dot Create file. Creates, opens, or overwrites file with write access. Yeah, let's just overwrite for now. I think I need subpath. Const code file. I guess this could add a call it state slash maybe just write it here. Dot call it x11 or handmade hero. Mode equals dot read only. Of dot recording file. Oh no, this is write only. Playback file. Read only. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, we've got the file handle. What about the recording index? I mean, that can be 0. What is actually saved in the file?
File. In
I'll
fact,
find out.
we already wrote a thing that writes an entire file. It was just this, right? That's the entirety of it. We just need the file handle. So we need whatever the file handle is. We need the memory, which is the new input, right? We need the memory size, which is just the size of that struct, that new input struct. And then we don't even really care about the bytes written, because if it fails, it's just a bug code. We don't even care if it fails. So it's just, we're just going to try to write and hope that it writes, right? So that's it. So that's all we really need to do to write it. So we write that to
What was new input? No idea.
the recording handle,
I don't know.
right? That's it. And then the exact same thing happens with the read file, right? Read file. Where is that guy? That's the wrong function. There we go. So read file.
Oh, it was just the game input. Okay.
Same thing again. So we basically have our bytes read. We don't really need to look at it right now. We will have to eventually when we want to get the looping stuff working, but that's in a second. So Win32 state, playback handle, I think is what I called it. Yeah, playback handle. And so then we just need to do the exact same thing here. We pass the new input, that's what we're writing. We pass the size of the new input, and we're done, right? So this is literally all we actually need to do.
Okay, so you only write one input at a time, and you only read one input at a time. Well, actually a lot simpler. Yeah.
To record and play back the input, right? That's going to happen. And then we also have the case of when we actually first start recording. So we basically have to do essentially something that goes back to the beginning of the recording or opens whatever this file handle is, that sort of thing. So
Oh yeah. So within recording. Do the same here.
we need something that's
I
basically
always forget that.
like begin recording input, or something like this, right? And then we'll need something also that's like win32 end recording input, right? We need something like that. And these will basically just be the things that get these file handles in the first place. So to begin recording input, we're going to just go ahead and do a create file just like we did before, you know, to open the file handle with Windows, say, hey, let's get this back. So there we go. So we need to open our recording handle here. We're going to go ahead and create file. We want generic write privileges this time because we're actually writing to the file. In fact, I should copy the create file that we did for the other one, because that's the one we actually want to make a file here. So we have our file name for now will just be foo dot handmade hero, let's say. I don't know. That's probably a bad name. Handmade recording. Handmade input? I don't know. We're going to deal with that in a second, obviously. So we got our file name here. I never can decide whether file name should be capitalized, intercaps, or not, and I use it interchangeably in the code. It drives me nuts. I wish I had a consistent way of doing it. So basically, we go ahead and do the recording handle. We open that up. That's pretty straightforward. And we can even go ahead and say that recording, we'll pass that input recording index here, right? And we'll say win32 state input recording index equals input recording index. We'll do the open. And then in here, we'll do a close handle on that, and then we're done. All right, that's all we need to do. And so, basically, these guys will move.
Okay, so maybe it doesn't reset the file. So read from wherever you are. Maybe the playback, or maybe just leave it as is.
Move up here to above. I'm putting them above because we're going to call them in here. And I don't want to bother having to forward declare them. Things you wouldn't have to worry about if you were programming in John Blow's new language, because you don't have to worry about any of that stuff anymore. So that's going to be pretty awesome when that happens. But yeah, so win32 begin recording. It's going to begin recording input 1. And this will be win32 end recording input. And then it'll be win32 begin input playback. And will also be 1. There we go. So yeah, so that's really all we need to do. When we hit L, if we weren't recording something, we ask it to start. Otherwise, we ask it to stop recording and then to start doing playback. And so, you know, we've got to do the equivalent of these two functions. And all right, there we go. Playback. Is playback? That's another intercaps one. Should it be playback or playback? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying. I don't know. See, and I've done it 2 different ways. That's just, it's maddening when I don't know how it should be. I feel like there should be some kind of a style guide that tells you where there are the word breaks in playback, file name, that sort of thing. And so these are actually wrong now because, again, for closing the handle on the end of playback is fine, but we do have a problem where our create file is the wrong kind of create file. That's creating a write. So we want to copy, again, the one that we used for reading the file, this one right here. There we go. And that should be fine, because we're always going to open an example.
No, but he's going really fast today. Doesn't go this fast. I'm struggling to keep up. I'm gonna have to watch this again.
Existing one for our playback handle. So that's about it for those guys. So if you think about what that's going to do, right? When we hit that L key, we should start just recording our input to this foo.html file. Then when we stop that, we're going to start reading it again. Now, when we're actually doing the reading the input in our playback phase where we're actually reading stuff, we do want to know when this starts to fail, because when it fails, we want to go back to the beginning if we're trying to loop, right? So what we would want to do here is we'd basically want to do a win32 end input playback and then win32 begin input playback, right? So we just want to do whatever the win32 state, excuse me, whatever that input playing index is, we would basically want to store that. So this is our playing index. we'd basically want to just pretend that we stopped, even though we really aren't stopping, so that we close down the handle, and then we can go ahead and start again. And we could do it a little more efficiently than that if we wanted to, but I don't think we do, because there's a bunch of stuff that has to happen during begin that we'll see in a little bit. So basically, I just want to set us up for success there, basically by making this do it as if it ended and started again. All right. And there's that file name, intercaps, right? It's crazy, right? It's awful. All right. So basically, we're almost done. Surprisingly, for such an awesome feature, you're going to be shocked at how little work this thing is. All right. So we've got our Win32 state coming in now. We've got our record and playback happening when those things start and end. Playback input. What is wrong with that? Oh, that is Win32 playback input. I guess new input is already a pointer. That's the difference. So there is a couple little things. Again, I slammed that in there real quick. I just want to take a quick second. When we do begin recording input, this is supposed to be input playback playing index, right? Oh, I like when people on the stream say copy pasta. I've never really heard people say that phrase. It's kind of funny. When you cut and paste some code and you're supposed to be changing it to be some different code, but you don't. It's kind of funny. Anyway, so I'm passing this in, input playing index. When I close these out, when I do the end recording, I need to basically clear out those handles as well, right? So I need the input playing index to change to 0. I need the input recording index to change to 0 when you end, like that. And I think that's roughly everything that I wanted. All right, so let's take a look at what happens here when we do this. So I'm going to go ahead and just set a breakpoint inside that keyboard handler, basically, just so we can see what happens. So here we go. I'm going to run the game. I'm going to hit the L key to start recording. We're going to take a look here at our Win32 state structure, which basically should be just completely cleared to 0, which it is. Again, I always like 0 to be initialization, so you just don't have to worry about initializing stuff. You just clear it to 0 and you know that it's good. All right. We step in. We say, all right, it's time to begin recording. So we're going to go ahead and set the recording index to whatever slot we're recording into. We're going to go ahead and try and create a file. We created the file. Off we go. We pop out of here, blah, blah, blah. Nothing particularly interesting going on there. We go through our code, and we get down to the point where we've done all of our input processing. We say, are we recording? We are recording, so we step in here. We take a look at this write file. It looks like we're writing to a valid handle. We're writing out the input thing. Everyone is happy. We wrote 600 bytes. Is that how big our input is for a frame? We can check. Size of game input, 600 bytes. That's exactly what it should be. Everyone's happy.
Yeah, it's called which. That's quite a long message. I like to creep around my home and act like a goblin. No, I enjoy doing this. Maybe it's a way of dealing with stress. Copy pasta. Generally, I carry around a sack and creep in a sort of crouch walking position, making goblin noises. That's very creepy, if I'm honest. And put them in my bag while saying stuff like, I'll be having that. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be a neighbor.
We come out of here, we keep going, and it's good. All right, so basically this is writing out that stuff to disk, right? This is writing out everything that I'm doing. So if I hit L, in theory, this should now change to ending the recording input, which it does, closes the handle, goes in here, goes to start playing it again, creates that file, and off we go. So now we actually should, in theory, be playing back whatever the user input was for all the frames. Now, I don't know if it's actually working, and of course, I had left my guy sitting there for a while, so we would have to actually wait for a bit to see if this guy moves, but I also want to take a look. I really wanted to kind of look and see how that input code was actually working when it does the readback. So I'm going to go ahead and do this in a test where I know that I'm doing something when I hit that L key. So basically, L key. Oh, stupid mistake. and this may have cost us from having it work right the first time. I totally forgot to check whether the key is going down or up. I always forget that when I jump in here. So basically it was triggering twice, once for the down, once for the up, which meant it started and stopped recording immediately, and that's not very much fun. All right. So basically, here we go. Let's try this again. I do the L key, I do the jump, I come back down, I push the L key. Hey, look, we're playing back our input. I don't know if it's actually working properly. It doesn't look like it recorded the jump, so I think we're still a little bit buggy, but at least it worked slightly. So let's go ahead and take a look at what I messed up, because I think we're almost there. So, all right. So when we
Let me see if I can try to make that work. Not sure, because I don't fully understand how it's working. Gotta save the input. Where's my game input? Here. I need this here. Yeah, let's start it here. Const recording. Index is 0. Let's make it a U32. And on the keyboard, here, let's just start it here. Else if the symbol is equal to L. Yep. And if recording index equals 0, else means start recording. Stop recording, and then okay, and then I go to write to file. Next input to file. So I need to know where to start from. Or do I? Or I just loop the file. So this, oh, but I also need, maybe, can I make it global? Or just leave it in here. Oh, what did I call it again? Does it need allocating? Not really. I should keep recording. Ever thought about taking it one step further and trying no syntax highlighting? I don't know. I like the colors. If I'm honest. I think how do you theme off or something? I think it's color scheme. Color scheme quiet. Oh no. I mean, it's not bad, to be fair. How do I turn it on? Color scheme. What are the options? Oh, I didn't know I had all these themes. Oh, that was one theme. And use local variable. This is the part where I'm not sure I understand fully. I save the input, but I also need to write. So if recording index is equal to 1, I need to write this global keyboard input to the file. Global x11 state. Dot write. Can be value as well. Can have it right here. State, and then input would just be input. That's nothing. Don't care about the other. Coding file dot write. It needs bytes. So I need mem dot, what was it called? Bytes, pass bytes. Yeah, there you go. Given a pointer to a single item, return the slice of the underlying bytes, preserving pointer attributes. Let's make this a pointer. And that's I forgot the S. Catch error the debug. And failed right input. I think it returns number of bytes written. Just ignore it for now. And then read would just be return pointer to an input. Playback. Need to pass it a buffer. Size of input U8. I don't know if that's right. Const pointer. And I gotta do the opposite. You ever say why he does that? Oh, Casey. Or me. I need something that takes bytes as slice, bytes as value. I don't remember him saying, I mean, yeah, maybe he just never does it. Hard to say. Bytes to value. Guess seems right. Type is input. Pointer to input. There's a few questions there. Okay, the buffer is size of input, so technically I should just read not sure. We'll see. Okay, I should write. Playback index equal to 1. Global keyboard input should be equal to I might need to allocate this. Coded input is equal to global x11 state dot read. Get at least type. Otherwise, just oh, hang on. This is built. Can assign to constant coding. Right is not marked public. Date. This header? Yeah, it can. Failed to init x11 state. Missing, missing field recording file. Maybe make it optional. Okay, go to add all of it. View size has no members. What am I doing wrong? File will be created with read access. How do I provide write access? For POSIX system, this is the file system mode. The file will be created with another system. This is always 0. Write only. Oh, that's open flex. Okay, that's the wrong one. Maybe I can just create a new file anyways. Expected 16 array elements on 0. Common 60. Does that work? How do you do that? Let's add a multiplication. Always forget how to do that. Okay. That will make it an array. Pointer. Vector type pointer. U8 found. That is struct. No, that is an array. That kind of makes it worse. Maybe there's another example. It's no support array initialization syntax. Playback file dot read. Okay. Was it here? Get how you do that as well. I think that's it. Access of union field pointer, well failed. Array is active. Okay, this is getting more and more weird. Let me just fix this. What is that again? Bytes is value. I don't know that one. I think it might. Yeah, I think it's this one. $69. Field a member named Wright. Manifest of file. Okay, at least that's gone. Bytes as value. Access of union field pointer while field array is active. Maybe it's the wrong method. I don't know which method that is. Okay, reference by comment.check. Just guessing at this point. Access of union field pointer while field array is still active. What does that mean? Input. Pointer cast. Const pointer U8. Pointer destruct. Okay. And then what about the other way around? Okay, let's just try that. Pointer cast. What does it need? Basically the opposite of this. Input. And just isn't that what this does? That's by its return type of pointer. Pointer cast, align cast, pointer. That's by its return type. Com type, P type, returns type. Type in for the pointer. Pointer to child. Copy pointer attributes. This was supposed to take like 20 minutes. Supposed to. Let's see it again. Our field array is active. There's a unit pointer. Referenced by main 215. Okay, so it's the read. Bytes is any type. And read expects a slice of UID. I mean, it kind of makes sense to me. Any tips for coding in extended periods as a beginner? Feel like sessions longer than 30 to 1 hour. You mean 30 minutes to an hour? It's impossible because I have to look up so many things. I don't know, Elm. It's not an easy question. I feel like sessions longer than 30 minutes to an hour impossible because I have to look up so many things. I mean, I think when you start, and it's quite normal to have to look up almost everything. I mean, even now, I think I still have to look up things all the time. It's hard to keep the same focus. Maybe breaking the problem down to parts you can do. I think that usually helps. I mean, no, well, 80% of the stream is really watching cases videos, yeah. I would say even higher, like 90. Because he's doing it in C, and a lot of times some things are lost in translation. And plus, I don't know how to do that in C or in SIG. So I do have to look up quite a lot of the times. I mean, for me, it's like, it's okay and it's quite normal. I don't really mind. Because it takes a few attempts. Even though, like, Casey did it in, like, what, 20 minutes? I've tried it yesterday for a couple of hours. Then I'm back at it today. Probably be back at it again tomorrow, by the looks of things. So I think it's quite normal, at least for me. It takes a bit of time for me. So reading from the file seems fine. Maybe because this is a pointer. Weird. Oh, sorry, this should be pointer. Bytes to... What was the other one? Step bytes to pointer. Okay, there we go. Okay, so at least it builds. Now to see what I'm actually doing. Current index is 1, write to file. Also, if playback index is 1, read, and use the current. Oh yeah, I gotta write to the file. No, don't need to. Something's not right. Oh no, that's fine. Yeah, I think it's correct. So when I press L to start recording or stop recording, And then all the other inputs, build it into the file. Okay, let's see if that works. Maybe I should print some debug statements. Let's stop the FPS. A little bit. File not found. Yeah, there is no file. Maybe the flag is missing. Opens a file for reading or writing without attempt. Oh, okay, without. And I also forgot to close the file. Global x11 state.dnet. Yep, turns nothing. Do the same here. If arrow dot equal to file open add dot file not found. Is that how you compare errors? Yeah, seems like it. Of dot and working directory dot create file. I shouldn't have to create it again. And this kind of works. I want to say 54. I make a file? No, it doesn't. It needs to return something. Get it again. Expected type file found void. Yep. I'm missing. Oh, because it's supposed to. No. Oh, because I need a return here. Well, let me just do this for now. I'll return. I don't think that's the problem. Oh, that was it. No. Okay, let me just leave it as this for now. Figure that out later. Okay, it doesn't record. There's something in the file. This is not empty. The log print. It's yeah. Yes, but I need to update. Okay. Otherwise, get the input from there. Otherwise, just play. Okay. Okay. Works. How do I play the recording? That's a good question. Okay, I start recording. Move down, move right, move down, right. Stop. Doesn't play the recording. Why? Playback index is 1. Oh, because it waits for... Okay, this is... Okay, now I understand why. This is wrong. I need to play back... somewhere else. Key release... Set global input, yeah. If playback index equals 1. Start recording. Okay, at least something happens. Segmentation fault at address. Recorded input dot key. So read bytes to value. Don't know what the difference is between the two. Given a pointer to an array of bytes, returns a value of the specified type backed by a copy of those values. Given a pointer to an array of bytes, returns a value of the specified type backed by a copy of those bytes. Yeah, but internally it's just calling the same method. Bytes as value. Bytes to pointer. I think it needs to pass. But then return void. And then just read it to, oh, but that's just the type. Double keyboard. But expected to. Oh yeah, this needs a pointer. I think this should also be dot start equals. Expected type common dot input found pointer to common dot input. Type void does not. Yeah, that is true. Oops. I don't need this anymore. Okay, see if that works. Start recording. Over a few times. Let's go. That worked. Oh fuck. But it worked for a little bit. That is so cool. So I can move down and move right, move down and then move right. Oh, I forgot to start recording. So move down and move right. And then when I stop recording, it does play. Okay, I think I know what's happening because there's no longer anything to read. If I go here, if this is read input, I want to see what the error is again. Switch on corrupt value. Okay, there's no error. Say where. I guess this could debug that. Open folder. Where is it? Here. Handmade. And that one can be removed. It's F4. Oh, sorry, that's F5. It's actually worse than before. Doesn't even start up. Weird. Oh, 6.8. How can I reset the file? Okay, I can add a comment for now to not here. Okay, hang on. These guys are back. Stream manager. I could just save X11 state, coding index, recording file. Input count. Then every time okay, I'm not gonna persist. I could persist count on the file. Can be done better. So what I'm trying to do is save the input on the file. There should be a better way to do this though. Let's check file. Is that an end of file? Get position. And compare the current seek position with the total size of the file. Okay. Read. Current position is equals. Playback file. Get position. Okay, this can header. And great. Like that. Wow. Position and then constat is equal to, let me just copy that. Oops. Thing stat size. If position current file dot seek to 0. Set error. Yeah, returns nothing. So use 64 and the position is also use 64. I think. Yep. Okay, I think that should work. Yeah, I don't use input count. Know what that is. I think this should be any. Okay, so if I start recording and if I stop, it should play. But the thing is, it plays from the old recording as well. Which is fine. I think I can improve that. That's cool. And I can even stop the recording from here. Stop playback if reached. End of file. Okay, I think they'll do. Only took like a couple of hours to do what Casey did in 20 minutes. Still not over though. There's still a bit more to do. But I gotta go. I'm out of time. I will continue. This is a lot of fun. I enjoyed that quite a lot. Oh, hang on. Get ignore. Save. Input and replay. Okay, I think that's good. It needs a few more things. Where is write? Let me write some notes. Otherwise, I am not gonna remember this tomorrow. What about existing recordings? Okay, I think that'll do. That was pretty good. I enjoyed that. I'm gonna call it a day. Hope you have a good rest of the day. Shall see you back tomorrow. continue the next 20 minutes, 2 hours. All right, hope you have a good one, and I'll see you later.